part of knowing how you're doing as a company, at the very least in terms of supporting Black colleagues and specifically supporting Black women, you have to kind of open the door to have a conversation. And what do I mean? Well, a lot of companies really rushed into knee-jerk mode shortly after George Floyd's murder to kind of have conversations around how do you feel as a Black woman, how do you feel as a Black person within our company, what is your experience of racism, etc., etc. And in the course of kind of having those conversations, while it may have felt like a really good idea, let's get everybody to share, a lot of the times the feedback has been for a lot of Black women is that they now feel isolated because there is so much tentative behavior. It's almost like a wall of silence. People don't necessarily want to talk about racism, about gender, inequalities, about what it's like to be a Black woman in the corporate setting. They don't want to talk about it. So rather than talk about it, they avoid it. But this isn't really an option for leadership. And this is where, you know, you have to take the lead, irrespective of what department you're in. You know, it's not always for people at the top, but it's also to take the lead in having these conversations. It doesn't have to be in a public setting, but just checking back in. What was the impact? Because, you know, it's fine, you know, you open Pandora's box, you invite the conversation, but you don't necessarily have those conversations thereafter about the impact, the initial conversation talking about experiences being a Black woman. What has that done to her experience? How does she now feel? What is she now facing that she didn't face before because she had been honest? What does she now need in order to feel, I won't say comfortable, but to feel as though the situation is tenable? Does she feel like she's even more alone now, having shared so much than before? And this is one of those moments where you don't necessarily, as a manager, as a leader, as somebody in HR, you don't necessarily have to lead these conversations yourself. It's about also knowing, where can I go? Who can support me in these efforts? Because they may not want to talk to you. That might be the case as well. It might be, you know, there is a disjointed feeling because there has been a lot that's been discussed, a lot that has been taken, in terms of the company has taken something from these women, but not then put it back in, not then in that sense made it a sustainable situation, because you've not given them the opportunity to refresh and replenish in a way that fully allows them to feel comfortable and fully allows the space, support to process everything that has gone on, and in many cases still continues to go on. You know, if you think about the decision to launch D&I initiatives in this time, has it been created to specifically support Black women, or has it been created to appease and make a wider audience comfortable, even though it was Black women who shared their experience, made themselves vulnerable, opened up to an audience, but then felt silent? And this is the opportunity. This is the opportunity to not necessarily always wait for guidance if you're at the top to provide it down, but it's everybody. You know, if you have a Black woman on your team, make the effort to try and bridge the gap in this conversation. If you have Black women in your wider team, as I said, it doesn't have to be a public setting, but check back in, see what is going on, learn from it. You know, it's like a litmus test. Where are we? Have we helped? Did it help? Because for a lot of companies, the assumption has been, well, we did this and it's obviously helped because we've shared the experience. But if you've only shared your experience but not received support in a form of a coach, in the form of creating, you know, a small group within the company, in the, you know, whatever it might be, check back in to see what is needed. And then you can really start to think about broader initiatives. But if fundamentally you have asked somebody, a black woman, a black man, to expend emotional energy, calculate the cost of that. And it's not just about talking. So check back in and provide the extra support that's more than likely needed but hasn't been offered. So, thank you very much for your time as always, and have a good day. Bye-bye.